this offense is not applicable if the doctor give this to the patient. And no person shall transport, exhibit, or store any medicine, medical device, or borderline product marked as a physician sample. Right? It's the same, right? Again, it's come for the transportation and exhibition or storage criteria. So the provisions of paragraph A shall not be applied to representative of company duly authorized by the authority. So here they say is okay, no person shall transport, exhibit, or store. But what if that person is a medical representative of a particular company who is about to sell that product, right? So this is not applicable. So this rule is not applicable. This A section is not applicable to any person who is a representative of that company, right? And no person shall sell any medicine, medical device, or product which are marked as physician sample. So, subject to the provisions of the subsection 3, no person shall import or accept as a donation any medicine, medical device, or borderline product for free distribution or to promote within Sri Lanka without the approval of the authority. Right? So, this is about permission to import or to accept as donation, right? So if you get the approval from the Sri Lankan Health Ministry or the government, other than that, you can't, right? Import or accept a donation of any medicine. Okay, for example, if a country like India would like to give some donation during the COVID time, that has to be approved through the health minister, and that is how the donation medicines should reach Sri Lanka, right? So this subsection 1 shall apply to the importation or receiving medical device or borderline product as a donation during the emergency or disaster situation. So still the product without approval you can't take, right? So minister may prescribe the guidelines for accepting donations of medicine, medical device, or borderline products at any disaster or emergency situation, taking into consideration the guidelines of the WHO issued in relation to accepting or receiving medicine, medical devices, or borderline products during similar situations, right? So in case if there is a pandemic and there is a common guidelines which is applicable for all WHO countries, so the same guidelines we also can follow in our country, right? The authority can take up that same guideline with if there is a pandemic situation, and that's a common guideline internationally published, right? So the provisions of section 58, 82, and 101 shall not apply to any patient who needs for his personal medication, medicine, medical device, borderline product, which is not registered or licensed under this act, right? So again, this is subsection 112. So you can go back to 80, 58, 82, or 101, right? So we'll see. So what is 58 is no person shall manufacture, import any medicine without registering such medicine with the authority and obtaining the license. And no person shall store, assemble, repack, distribute, transport, sell any medicine without obtaining license. And no any person who contravenes it commends as an offense, right? So this is for the normal general public, right? So this is not applicable for a personalized use, right? So this is for a personal use, right? So these provisions of these sections is not applicable for a patient, right, who need this medication for his personal use, right? So if anyone need medication for their personal use, so the person can import the required quantity of a medicine, medical device, or borderline product on the prescription issued by the medical practitioner treating him with the prior approval to the authority. So if you go to the NMRA website. Again, you can find. So, what are the guidelines for the importation of personal medicines? There's an application form. So, you can fill the application form and you can send the application fee along with definitely the medical practitioner's prescription, right? Okay, there is a sudden a condition which is not common in Sri Lanka. So we don't have a medicines in Sri Lanka. So for such condition, what you can do is you can take the doctor's prescription and the doctor has to mention the patient name, age, weight, right? And what is the medical condition and how long the patient is going to be treated, whether it's for 1 month, 2 months, or 3 months, and the name of the medicine, and if there is any particular brand they prefer. And definitely, the doctor has to mention in the prescription the total number of tablets or capsules or the total weight of a cream or ointment or whatever they require. So, at this case, definitely the medical practitioner should mention the total number of tablets they require. Otherwise, the authority will not approve such request for the personal use, right? So it shall be an offense to sell any medicine, medical device, borderline product manufactured or imported under this section. For example, think I am importing a medicine for my personal use, right? But uh, so usually the allowed so I get a prescription to import 200 tablets or something, right? And that is once daily tablet or something. And there are 100 which is enough for me, but I have 100 remaining. So I sell that 100 to someone else, right? So then that will be considered as a offense and there will be a punishment given, right? Because under the, that's why the doctor has to definitely mention the total number of dosage form they request with the seal, because you can't import extra medicine for your personal use and you can't sell it, right? So this is only for the person who is getting permission to import the medicine, right? No person shall manufacture, prepare, store, or sell any medicine, medical device, or borderline product in any premises unless such premises has been licensed in that regard by the authority. And no person shall store or sell any medicine, medical device, or borderline product in any premises unless such premises has been licensed. So you have to get the registration and license for both medicine, right? So the provision of paragraph A shall not apply to any patient who keeps any medicine, medical device, or borderline product registered under this act for his personal use, or any medicine, medical device, or borderline product prescribed by regulation, say for general use, right? The authority shall maintain a register of registered manufacturer importers, and then criteria for registering shall be prescribed, right? So every license granted under this act shall be in such form as may be prescribed, by subjected to such condition as may be prescribed, unless cancelled earlier, be in force for such period as may be specified in the license. So any license granted under this act may be suspended or revoked by the authority in case of a non-compliance with the prescribed condition, right? So this is a manufacturing license and you didn't maintain a GMP at your manufacturing place, mean yes, there is a non-compliance. So the license can get cancelled. An applicant may anytime withdraw an application for license by notifying the authority in writing without prejudice to his right or reapply for the license, right? So here we comes to an important part, right? Regulation for the manufacturing, right? So there was a manufacturing regulatory division established under this act. So that is alone responsible for this manufacturing. So the authority shall establish for the purpose of this act a division to be known as Manufacturing Regulatory Division. The authority shall appoint the head of the division from among persons holding a recognized degree in pharmacology, pharmacy, and other related subjects, right? The principal function of the manufacturing regulatory division shall be the regulation of manufacturing of medicine, medical device, or a borderline product in Sri Lanka. So, other functions of manufacturing regulatory divisions shall be formulate schemes, right, to provide all necessary assistance, including technical know-how to the prospective manufacturers, right? You have to formulate schemes, right? And provide necessary assistance to the manufacturers to market their product, right? Necessary assistance, it means providing a proper market and discounts and so manufacturing sometime way off, like, or any discounts for the manufacturing or for the importation of raw material excipients, right? And provide necessary assistance to manufacturers to export their products. So that is important, right? So more the more you manufacture, Sri Lanka is it's like most of the Sri Lankan medicines manufactured are for the local use. We don't export that much, right? So now there are some companies like Silogen and all. So they manufacture. It's an Indian company, so they have a manufacturing plant at Kandy, and usually they manufacture, and that is not only for the local Sri Lankan, it's also for the exportation purposes, right? So you have to provide necessary assistance, right, for the manufacturers who manufactures to export, and advise the authority to restrict the importation of certain products where locally manufactured products are sufficient, right? For the purpose of this section, product means medical device, or a borderline product. So minister can make regulation to give effect to all or any of the provisions of this part, right? And here comes a important one, right? Pricing, medicine, medical device, and borderline product. Why I mentioned this as an important part is because this was the one not in the previous CDDA Act. So the pricing of medicine, medical device, and the establishment of pricing committee is coming under this act only. So after that only, the most of the medication that are sold inside Sri Lanka came to a kind of a same range of prices, right? So the authority shall appoint a committee to be known as pricing committee, and the compensation powers functions of pricing committee shall be as prescribed, right? So the authority shall, in consultation with the pricing committee, determine the introductory price of medicine, medical devices, and borderline products at the time of registration based on criteria as may be prescribed, right? So it's like determining the introductory price, right? And for the purpose of paragraph A, the authority shall consider the prevailing market prices of similar product within the same therapeutic class, international reference prices, and other factors may be prescribed. So, for example, suddenly we start a new anti-cancer medicine manufacturing in Sri Lanka, and we are trying to fix a price for that, right? But the authority should consider whether the product that which are manufactured recently in Sri Lanka is also available in a global market. If it's available in the global market, what is the normal price of that medicine? And comparing the prices, whether the Sri Lankan manufactured product is too expensive or it's too whether it's in an affordable price, right? So depending on that, they can consider the prevailing market price of similar products with the same therapeutic class, right? And international reference prices for the purpose of determining the prices of new chemical entities. So these are the inventional medicine, right? Which are newly discovered medicine. Authority shall consider the prices in region, the benefit of the new product, and the cost effectiveness. So the minister shall, in consultation with the pricing committee and the consumer affair authority and shall stakeholders, and taking into consideration all other relevant factors, including the provisions of Consumer Affairs Authority Act number 9 of 2003, prescribe pricing mechanism for medicine, medical devices, and borderline products, right? Chapter 7, right? So we finish chapter 6, and chapter 7 is again more important for us, right? This is one of a crucial part like chapter 3, which is regulation of pharmacies, right? So every person to carry on a pharmacy to obtain a license, right? So no person shall carry on a pharmacy without obtaining a license from the authority. Any person who intends to carry on a pharmacy shall make an application for that purpose in the prescribed form to the authority. So y'all can go and check. There is a application for the new opening of a pharmacy, or application for renewal of a pharmacy, right? Or application for renewal or change in pharmacy, right? So maybe the pharmacist left the pharmacy, so you have to assign a new pharmacy. So that's available, right? So there are application forms available. So take a printout of the download and take a printout of the application form, fill it, and with the relevant details, right, you can submit the form. So application shall contain all such information and be forwarded with all such documents may be set out in such form and be accompanied by a prescribed fee. Authority may, on receipt of the application for the application to the pharmacy's regulatory revision for the observation which shall be submitted within a specified period. Authority may, upon consideration of all records and information pertaining to the application, grant the applicant the license or refuse the application and inform the reason for such refusal to the applicant in writing forthwith. The holder of the license shall before the commencement of the business of a pharmacy shall register the premises, right, where the pharmacy is to be carried out. So if you want to start a pharmacy, you have to check a location and you have to find a premises with suitable condition. And once you find the suitable premises, you have to get the license, right? Or you have to register the premises for the selling of the medicines. The minister shall by regulation prescribe the terms and conditions of a license and the conditions to be satisfied to register a pharmacy, right? For the purpose of this act, holder of license means the person who is being granted a license to carry on a pharmacy under this section. So what are the requirements to comply with good pharmacy practices? Every person who carries on a pharmacy shall comply with good pharmacy practices and other guidelines and conditions prescribed by the authority. Okay. The holder of license shall employ at least one pharmacist in the pharmacy to be responsible for all operation of the pharmacy relating to medicine, medical device, and borderline product. Right? One, at least one, right? That's highly necessary. Dispensing of medicine, medical device, or borderline product shall be carried out by the pharmacist or a registered apprentice pharmacist under the direct supervision of the pharmacist. So, if there is no pharmacist available in your pharmacy, then you can't actually do this function, right? Because dispensing either can be done by the pharmacist or registered apprentice, but that should be under the direct supervision of the pharmacist, right? So the pharmacist shall, before sale of every medicine, medical device, and borderline product, inform the buyer the cost of the medicine, medical device, or the borderline product. So you remember in the name of when they are dispensing the generic medicines, again in the prescription, it has been mentioned the pharmacist should anyway convey the prices of the medicine that are available in his pharmacy, right? The pharmacist shall, when dispensing the medicine, medical device, or borderline product, provide the customer with a description of such medicine, medical device, or borderline product in language requested by the customer, right? And minister may make regulation to give effect to the all or any of the provisions of this part, right? So, have you all seen the application form?
No, miss.
Okay, so wait, I can show you quickly. right? So if you start a pharmacy, you have to follow the good pharmacy practice. So you can download this, right? So if you click on it, it will give you the PDF, right? So it contains 14 pages, right? So it give you information about the information to the patient, patient counseling, professional guidelines, right? Everything can be given here, right? So what you have to do, what the furniture, fixtures, equipment, right? Personnel, right? See, everything mentioned in the act is in a very simple term and language is it for you all to understand, right? Right? System, quality policy, right? So these are available, right? Pharmacy practice. So I personally advise you all to download the guideline on GPP, good pharmacy practice, and guidelines for community pharmacy practice, right? And storage also important. These four important, but the first and last one is necessary, right? If you're planning to start a pharmacy or work in a pharmacy, right? So these are the application form. So it is a retail new application form, right? And this is a retail renewal application form. I'll show only these two. So this is the application form, right? For renewal, right? So this is the application for a new license, right? Retails. So you can mention your name, apply for license to establish a pharmacy on premises, situation at mention the address, name of the pharmacy. So this is information about the proposed area, the address, district, divisional secretary, MOH division, premises ready for the inspection, right? So this date should be mentioned at least 3 weeks before intended opening, right? And then application for new license, right? What are the existing pharmacy within the legal route within 750 meters? You have to write the name and the distance, right? So you can't cheat, right? They will check if because they physically inspect these days because the COVID is now gone, right? So therefore they started checking it physically, right? So business information, whether you're a sole owner, corporation, partnership, and because this is a business, you have to have a business registration certificate number if applicable, right? And then contact details of the owner. This is the name of partners, right? Details of the applicant if it's a single owner, right? And then here comes information about the pharmacy, whether it's a community hospital or supermarket, business hours. So here comes the detail of the responsible pharmacist. Name, permanent address, SLMC registration number, NIC, telephone, email addresses. So about the pharmacy, allocated area, square feet. So what are the, whether is there any separate lockable area for prescription only medicine and what is the allocated area for other medicine, patient waiting area, right? So you have to mention everything in square feet that is allocated, right? So whether sale of medicine, veterinary medicine, medical device, cosmetic, borderline, grocery, home delivery available, right? So what are the square feet available? So what are the name of the responsible pharmacy for the online services? An additional responsible pharmacist, right? SLMC registration, right? Vehicle used for home delivery, vehicle number, whether you are taking online or dispensing e-prescription, right? Extemporaneous preparations, right? Allocated area, patient counseling area. So declaration, right? So this give you the overall information, right? So this is for the renewal, right? Renewal. So this is renewal, the location, change ownership or something. Again, it's the same, right? So retail renewal with same changes wholesale, right? Likewise, all the information is available here, right? So you can take the application and you can fill and get it, right? So part two is about appeals. Any person aggrieved by any decision of the authority made under this act may appeal in writing to the authority to reconsider such decision within 1 month of the receipt of such decision, right? So if you got cancelled, if you get a rejection for your pharmacy, then what you can do once you receive the application, so decision within a 1 month, you can ask for reconsider the decision, right? It's like appealing, right? So the authority shall, as soon as practicable, informs its decision on such appeal to the appellant. Where the appellant is dissatisfied with the decision of the authority, the appellant may appeal against such decisions to the appeals committee appointed under section 123 here, right? So the appeals committee, so the minister shall appoint an appeal committee to hear and determine the appeals made in terms of this act. Appeal committee shall consist of following members: a member appointed from among a retired judge of Supreme Court or Court of Appeal of Sri Lanka, who shall be the chairman of the appeal committee, and the secretary of health, and the member appointed from among retired medical consultants who have distinguished himself in the field of medicine. So the members of appeals committee shall hold the office for a term of 3 years from the date of appointment and shall be eligible for the reappointment. The minister may make regulation specifying the manner in which the meetings and business of the appeals committee shall be carried out, right? An appeals committee may, after studying the appeal, call for further information regarding the medicine, medical device, or borderline product in question from the appellant, and the respective division established under this act may call for expert opinion on such medicine, medical device, or borderline product. For example, the authority rejected the application for manufacturing of a certain medicine, right? So the company wants to appeal for the decision. So they appeal, and then the committee can call for a meeting with the Medicines Regulatory Division and Medical Devices Evaluation Committee, who are supposed to give permission, and also the Manufacturing Regulatory Division, because it's about manufacture, right? So all the committee members, related divisions, they come, and any experts also can come for the meeting to give opinion regarding that. So the appeal committee shall, on consideration of all relevant factors, inform its decision to the authority. Upon receiving the decision of the appeals committee, the authority shall inform the appellant the decision of the appeals committee forthwith and act in accordance with decision of appeals committee. The members of appeal committee may be paid such remuneration out of fund of the authority with the concurrence of minister assigned of the subject of finance, right? So that's for the appeal committee, right? So finally, if someone is not convinced with the decision, the appeal committee will give a decision. Even if the appeal committee rejects, right, a product for manufacturing, that cannot be, that is the final decision, right? So this part three is about the authorized officers, right? And powers and functions of the authorized officers. So the minister may appoint any provincial director of health services, any regional director of health services, any medical officer of health and divisional pharmacist, any food drugs inspector, but this is a common person, right? Drug inspector or any pharmacist attached to the authority to be an authorized officer, right? So usually the pharmacist attached to the authority, there are very minimal number of pharmacists who work in the authority, so they can't be functioning as authorized officers. But food and drug inspectors, they usually function an authorized officer, and usually the food and drug inspector, they come and supervise the pharmacies, right? Whether the full-time pharmacist is working in the pharmacy, and whether prescriptions, medications all are handled according to the guidelines given by the Nmra. So these things will be checked by the if food drug inspector commonly, right? So the authorized officer shall exercise the powers of peace officer in terms of the Code of Criminal Procedure Act number 15 for the purpose of discharging his function. So the authorized officer will have the same powers just to the peace officer, right? So any authorized officer who acts in contravention of the provisions of this act or any regulation or rule made thereunder or provisions of any other written law or exercise the powers assigned to him under this act in a manner or for intention contrary to the objects of this act shall after due in inquiry held by a disciplinary committee appointed by the minister be removed from such office. So if he find any offense or guilt, he can be removed from the office. So the minister shall by regulation prescribe the constitution of the disciplinary committee and manner of conducting an inquiry. The powers of authorized officers. Authorized officer for the performance of his duties and exercise his powers under the act may enter, right? These are the powers. Enter any reasonable hour to any place where he believes any article. Article mean medicine, medical device, or borderline product manufactured, prepared, packed, repacked, preserved, sold, or stored, and examine any such article and take samples thereof, and examine anything that he believes is used for the manufacture, preparation, packaging, preservation, or storage. So he suddenly enters a manufacturing company. He can take a packaging material sample. He can take a raw material sample, right? Not only in a manufacturing area, in a distribution, wholesale, retail, pharmacy, anywhere he can collect sample. He can open an example, any receptacle or package that he believes to contain any article, right? So for the purpose of examining or search, stop or detain any vehicle in which he believes that any article is being conveyed, search that vehicle and examine such article and take samples. Not only in the premises, also if he believes it's in a vehicle. Examine any book, document, or any other records, including electronic data found in any place referred into paragraph A, and make copies thereof or take extracts therefrom, right? And he can seize, detain for such times as may be necessary any article or vehicle by means of, in relation to which he believes any provisions of this act or regulation made thereunder have been contravened. So an authorized official shall acting